Okay, so there's a little to unpack today on my channel. I wanted to discuss a few things, so bear with me here. I want to go over what I did yesterday in downtown Toronto when I went to the pro regime change Iranian protest down at the U.S. consulate. It was an eye opener, but I'll get into that. I want to touch on first Carney's trip to China. Now, on the way to China, he landed in Vancouver, stopped in Vancouver to speak with some native chiefs, some band leaders, and he didn't really get into the specifics of what was discussed, other than just opening up more dialogue between him and some band leaders. So then from there, he flew to China. Now, not much is coming out of China right now, other than people are saying. Widespread reports that basically his trip to China is a dog and pony show, a smoke and mirror type trip to further deteriorate relations between Canada and the United States. Donald Trump. Now, is Donald Trump going to fall for this ploy? I don't know. We know how Donald Trump's ego can be bruised quite easily. It would appear. I could be totally wrong on that, but by all accounts, what's coming out from mainstream media reports is China is encouraging Canada to further distance itself from the United States. And, we can all see that that's what's happening. It came right out of Mark Carney's mouth from almost day one that the relationship between Canada and the U.S. is no longer going to be what it was for over the past 100 plus years. So China apparently is our second biggest trade partner next to the United States. So he's going over there to increase trade. He wants to fill the gap for 70% or 75% of our trade from the United States. I don't know how he's going to do that. I think it's impossible. You look at it geographically, the distance between Canada and China, it doesn't make sense. I could be across the border from Toronto in an hour and a half. So crossing a land border. So it makes zero sense. Now, is it a strategic move on Carney's part to further the World Economic Forum, the EU, and the British monarchies push away from the United States? I would say that it is. And I've gone over that in a few of my most recent videos. Now, what I will say, the World Economic Forum summit in Davos, Switzerland next week, which Donald Trump is going to attend. And of course, the roving president of the World Economic Forum, Mark Carney, will be in attendance, of course. We're more or less in a hold and wait pattern because we got to wait and see what Donald Trump is actually going to say at this summit. People are expecting him to drop the hammer on his true intentions for the United States and the rest of the world. Now, that could be anything from, him pulling out of NATO, him announcing that, or even, I shouldn't say announcing going into Iran militarily. That could already happen by next week. That's looking more and more the likely probability will happen that the United States will militarily intervene in Iran. So I've heard reports that Russia is pulling out diplomats out of Israel. I've heard reports that the Israeli president, Benjamin Netanyahu, took his airplane, which is equivalent to Air Force One. I don't know if it's his technologically advanced, his Air Force One, but he's moved it out of Israel, preparing for the potential of a war. So he doesn't want to get anything damaged in the borders of Israel that could be damaged from a missile attack or from a ground border invasion. So I think that the heat in the Middle East is ramping up and ramping up rapidly. You know what? I don't want to sound dejected. I don't want to sound negative, but I really don't see a positive outcome from what is going on globally. Unfortunately, I live in Canada under a liberal run communistic, leading more and more daily to a tyrannical dictatorship. And, I voice my opinions. That's what my channel's mainly about now, is voicing my displeasure for the liberal way of thinking, the liberal ideological viewpoints in the world. So daily, getting people coming to me on other social media, through my phone. Close friends daily are coming to me, and they are saying, yeah, it's I'm starting to see what you've been talking about for the last 5 to 10 years. And people that are normally more optimistic and kind of more or less take a back seat to politics, they are being forced to voice their opinions and to look for guidance and to look for answers. And, within my circle of friends, I am by far the most politically active, by far. And so every so often I'll get someone that I converse with, a couple times a month, a couple times a week. They will come to me for questions, or they will bring me information. They will send me information on my Facebook. I just started an X account, I think a week and a half ago. I haven't really done nothing on that yet. But, I'm getting phone calls, I'm getting text messages, and people are they're pointing out things to me that I already know, and I already have, a sound educational background on it. But they haven't been following it as closely as I have been for, a long time. So they think that they are bringing me new information, and I appreciate it. Sometimes they do. Like, I have a friend out in the West Coast. I talked to him on Messenger, and he brought me some pretty good information through someone that he knows from the United States. And I'm not going to say his name, or I'm not going to reveal where this person lives in the United States, but he's brought me some pretty good information with regards to the raid on Venezuela. When Trump sent in Delta Force to pluck Maduro's and his wife. Apparently there was a couple other people taken at the same time, and apparently a lot of important files were taken that that surround corruption in the United States. So, there's a lot of speculation why Trump went in there. There's a lot of valid reasons, and there's a lot of substantiated reasons why he went in there. Oil's obviously not, up there. It's in the top 5. To get China and Iran and Russia control out of Venezuela, so closer to the United States, to kick them out, to evict them. That was obviously high up, a high priority on taking back Venezuela. So people send me information. I don't always get it off the internet. I don't always get it off. I hardly ever get it off mainstream media. I don't give them the light of day. Usually, sometimes I will watch it just to refresh myself with the nonsensical bullshit that they peddle out. But anyhow, so hold and wait pattern until Trump delivers his his WEF speech in Davos next week. Closer to home, I want to talk about when I went down to the Iranian demonstration. I wouldn't call it so much a protest. Basically, from my understanding and talking to my friend, like I said, who is of Iranian descent, it's been an ongoing problem ever since the Shah was dethroned in 1979, and it's been a downward spiral of an Islamo-communistic state that has decimated the way of living there over the years. They've had military intervention from the United States, and they're in the Middle East, so they're always in a very tumultuous place in the world with warring countries all around them. It's just a volatile region of the world. So they could never really get solid footing. But with the current government in place, my understanding, and I have to admit, I'm not the most educated on the Iranian situation, the Iranian plight, but what I gathered yesterday, they obviously want the current government out, and they want to install a new government. They want to install, I believe it's a descendant of the Shah. I can't remember his name. But that's my understanding. And they seem to be at this protest. They're pro-Trump. They seem to have a lot of Western ideologies, in my estimation. So when I was down there yesterday, I just want to point out that everyone was completely respectful towards me. I didn't have any sort of animosity directed my way. The police, I had no problem with the police. They told me to leave here, leave there, no problem. There was no anti-protesters there. and I want to touch on that, like the Antifa types. just say you got 50 Antifa types down there. You get the poison dart frog hairdo Karens. You get the transgender males that are wearing dresses. The usual suspects. There was about 40 or 50 of them at the Canada First rally this past Saturday. Now, if you would have taken that same group and put it down at the U.S. consulate yesterday, yeah, it would have been, I'm thinking it would have been a very, very bad day for those 50 gender confused, 50 ideologically confused people. I don't think this Iranian crowd would have stood for it. And not only that, and I'm not saying they're a volatile group, but not only that, the sheer volume, the sheer numbers they had down there yesterday, it had to have been over 10,000 people. Over. And I might even be light on that. So, with the and I want to finish up with the Iranian protest yesterday, or rally, and say they had their own security. They had people wearing high-vis vests. If you watched my video yesterday, it didn't get too much traction, that video, I'll admit that. And I'm okay with that. I videoed what I wanted to put my eyes on, and I put it on my YouTube channel. If it wasn't received like some of my other recent videos, I'm completely okay with that. It gets me in the situation. It allows me to put eyes on what I can talk about. And they were very respectful of the police, very respectful of people that were just going about their daily business down there. People on bicycles in the bike lane. They tried to keep it as clear as possible. It would appear that other than the high-vis vests, I think some of the leaders in security, or leaders of the group, were wearing armbands, and they had comms. They had earpieces. Whether they were operational or not, I'm not sure. But I noticed 3 or 4 people with comms, communications going on. So they appeared to be very organized. And I stayed down there for 2 hours and I left. Now, did anything transpire after I left from a volatile nature? I don't know. I haven't heard of anything yet. But now I want to put that into relation to a First Canadian rally that I couldn't attend this past Saturday, that is run by Joe Anjahar. He goes by the handle Puck, P-U-C-K, Daddy. And he has a following of patriotic Canadians. I've been to one rally in October of last year. And I go down there for a couple different reasons. And I'll touch on that in a second. But from the live stream videos and from other videos coming out now of the Canada First rally, obviously, well, I shouldn't say obviously. If you didn't see it, I'll explain it to you. I would say the Canada First rally side maybe had about 500 people, a large turnout for that rally. Then there was about 50 Antifa types. And when I say Antifa types, they are not so easily, well, they are easily to distinguish, and sometimes they're not. Sometimes they're elderly people. Sometimes they have, like there's this one guy, they call him, what do they call him? Antifa Santa? Antifa Santa? Or a protest Santa. He wears an orange toque, and he has, gray hair and a full gray beard. He looks like Santa Claus. So he's elderly. You get elderly women, a lot of angry elderly white women. Then you get transgender people. Then you get various different people that would, in the old days, be deemed visible minorities, but in Toronto, they're no longer visible minorities. They are the majority. So you get a cross-section of people on the Antifa side. But they make themselves identifiable from what they wear. They're always wearing a mask, 100%. They wear the Palestinian, what do they call it, Kahifi? Shamag? I don't know what you call it, but the Palestinian one. They wear those. And they were flying the anti-fascist flag, which is Antifa, the flag for Antifa. So they're not even hiding the fact anymore that they are a left-wing radical organization or a left-wing radical movement. They fly the flag now. So, and I briefly touched on my video yesterday, but there were 9 arrests. And I'll put up on the screen, I think I got 4 or 5 of the arrested people and the charges they got charged with. But there was 9 arrests to my understanding, and all 9 arrests were on the left. Like I said, I've been to the trucker convoy in 2022. I've been to one of Joe's rallies in October, and it's the side of the Canada First rally side is non-aggressive. They are non-volatile, but having said that, they will stand their ground, and if push did come to shove, there would be many in that crowd that could probably do some damage physically. And I'm not saying with weapons. I'm just saying like a hand-to-hand combat situation. There would be many people in that crowd that I you know, I've been around that my whole life, which I've mentioned in a few of my videos. And I don't want to touch too much on that, but you know, you can't always judge a book by its cover, but you can surmise, or you can get information by initial appearance, by the way a person handles himself initially. You can kind of get the gauge for how that person will behave in a volatile situation. And when I mean volatile, I mean in a hand-to-hand physical type situation. A lot of people you would think couldn't do that can do that. So it's not a fine science just by visualizing it. But having said that, my experience is that the people that go to these rallies on the left side, they are paid to do so. They are radicalized. They have been indoctrinated, and their lack of rational thought will get them into trouble that their physical capabilities can't get them out of. That's what I'm trying to say. So the people down at the Canada First rally on the Antifa side, they brought weapons with them based on what the police charges laid against the people that were arrested. Concealed weapon, carrying a concealed weapon, throwing an incendiary or explosive device at people, wearing face covering or a disguise. What else? Not administering a noxious substance. I don't think that was at this one. But they were caught with bags of urine, okay? They were caught with used toilet paper. So you can use your imagination what used toilet paper means. So you imagine the level of depravity that you would have to experience to take this from your house and go downtown Toronto and throw that on people, okay? Including police. Because the police are in the middle. So if you're throwing a bag of urine or toilet paper with feces on it, and if you're a limp-wristed lefty that couldn't throw, a foot or 2 feet in front of you, and there's a cop there, the cop's going to get that in the face. They were throwing eggs at people. They were throwing rocks at people. One Antifa lunatic punched a cop in the head, in the face. He was charged with assault police. Very serious charge. Then when they arrest them, you have to search the individual. They're finding weapons on them. No firearms, but they probably have pepper spray. They probably have knives. Who knows what they have on them? Weapons. Deemed a weapon under the laws in Ontario and in Canada. So that is the level that you are dealing with. So when you go down to these rallies, you go down to these protests, including myself, when you go down and put yourself in this situation, there is a high likelihood that you could be physically assaulted and physically harmed. Now, if you go down into one of these situations with the mindset that can't happen to you, well, you're being naive and you're being dangerously foolish, because it could easily happen. Now, also, with a person like myself, I have a fuse to a certain extent. But when I don't know, you talk to people that I've known my whole life, they would think I have very short fuse or no fuse. But in doing this sort of research and in doing these videos and in putting myself in these situations, it's increased my fuse, because I know I am dealing with someone that has been mentally compromised. Now, does that mean I want them to get close to me? No, I don't care. I don't care if you're a nun, and I don't want you getting close to me. I don't, because I don't know what your intentions are. And you, like when I say that was probably a bad analogy, but I'm aware with today's society and today's volatile nature within society, I'm aware that anyone could be a potential threat. And if you say, well, Dewey, you're acting paranoid. Well, if I was acting paranoid, I'd never leave my house. Okay, I'm putting myself in these situations, so I'm not that paranoid. There's a side of me that likes a little bit of adventure and a little bit of risk, without a doubt. There's a side of me that likes a lot of risk. Okay, as I get older, not so much. But when I was younger, I was a big time risk taker. So there is that side of me, and I'm not afraid of street level violence, and I've said that before in my videos. And you know what, I don't want to keep on touching on that, because that's not what I want. My persona to be put across. I don't want to be like I'm just out here, just here talking like I'm a tough guy or something. Would I want to fight a Sean Strickland type guy, a UFC guy like Sean Strickland? Absolutely not. Would I fight physically a guy like Sean Strickland? Absolutely, I would. I would never ever turn a fight down, ever. And that's just the way I was. So what I'm getting at here, sometimes it's not always beneficial for me to put myself in these volatile situations because I'm not afraid what's going to happen to me. I'm afraid of what's going to happen to someone else sometimes. And that's the honest to God's truth. And I don't want to get jammed up from a legal standpoint. When you're surrounded by 200 uniformed cops and another 50 undercover cops, and you're surrounded and they're taking video and everyone's taking video, the likelihood of being rage baited is there, but the likelihood of being or acting upon that is possible. So now if you lay a finger, if you touch, I'm not saying so much push, but that's assault as well. But if you were to take a swing at someone and hit someone, or if you were to take a swing at someone, miss that person and hit a cop, you're going to jail. I'm going to jail because I'm a white guy. I don't have a network of Crown prosecutors and judges sitting around on their off days, and lawyers sitting around on their off days waiting for a phone call from a guy like me to work its way up the chain so I get released with no bail and I don't even spend a night in jail. No, if I got into a physical altercation on a Friday, on a Saturday, I am going to be in a holding cell at Old City Hall or wherever. This would have been Old City Hall. They still have jails in Old City Hall. I would have been in there until I could see a judge or a JP on the Monday at the very earliest. And if it was someone else on their side, I'm not sure. But by all accounts, obviously they have a network of legal representation that will get them out. They have activist lawyers that become lawyers. Just because you're a lawyer, and I've touched on this before, you pay a university, whatever university, you write the bar, you pass the bar. Now, a lot of lawyers become lawyers, never become practicing lawyers. They become social justice warriors. They become activists. They become homemakers. They become business owners. A lot of lawyers, when they especially this day and age, they go through the education system, they're indoctrinated, they go get their law degree, and they know right away during their law degree they have to do volunteer work, they have to do community work, and they do a lot of social justice activism during their up and coming before they pass the bar. I'm trying to say they do a lot of things that would make them lean towards social activism. Then once they have went over that hump and completely have been indoctrinated, they make it their sole purpose in life to become a social justice lawyer. And they froth at the mouth, waiting for people. Like one of the people that got arrested at the Toronto or the Canada First rally, the cop was kneeing him. Okay, he was down. The cop was kneeing him. It looked like he was getting him in the top of the head, whatever. Now another cop was kneeing their legs. I understand that is part of the police training, is to knee their Charlie horse to take the fight out of them, for lack of a better expression. But there's going to be a lawyer, a social justice lawyer, watching that video and thinking, okay, not only is this guy going to get no charges, the charge is going to be dropped, he's going to get a payday. And that's what these people in a lot of cases do. They go down there looking for a payday because they have no, other than being paid from a George Soros type backing organization like Antifa, they have no way of really making money. They have no direction in life. They are on the fringe of society. They are mentally compromised people. They have mental health issues, I should say. They have drug addictions. They have lodging or they are unhomed. These people want to be part of a group. And in doing so, they are gaslit and they are used as useful idiots and cannon fodder by the people that want to push out these foot soldiers to attack conservatism and to attack critical thinking. They use these people. Now, the people that will file a wrongful arrest or an assault complaint against the police, there's a good possibility that they will be written a check a year or two down the road, and their lawyer will get paid as well. So they are educated on that fact when they congregate for their little pre-game huddle. They all know that the possibility of antagonizing a protester on the right or antagonizing a police officer could result in a potential payday for them. That's the honest to God's truth. So when I go down to these rallies personally, I go down, and I'm not letting the cat out of the bag here. I go down to look at how the police interact with the crowd. I look at a certain demographic of society, which yesterday was the Iranian demographic. I look how they interact with other members of society, how they interact with police, and I look at police tactics. I look at what jurisdictional police are there. I only seen Toronto police yesterday. I recognized a police liaison officer that usually deals with the Canada First. I've talked to him personally, briefly, and he seems like a nice enough guy. But I don't get too chummy with cops. I'll make small talk with them, and sometimes they talk a little bit, and sometimes they want nothing to do with me, and I'm okay with either. So, but just to finish this video up, we have all these problems going on in the world. We have all these problems that are affecting the world, affecting my city of Toronto, affecting Canada. We have a prime minister that is antagonizing the United States to very high degrees, with, it would appear to be siding with China. I don't know if people understand this or not, but a lot of people do, a lot of people don't. On any given night in Ontario, there's 85,000 homeless people. Any given night in the province of Ontario, there's 85,000 homeless people. It's going down, I believe, to minus 13 or minus 14 Celsius tomorrow in Toronto. If you live up north, you live in Winnipeg, you live, northern Saskatchewan, northern Alberta, you're thinking minus 14 is a nice summer day. But down here, on minus 14 day, it is it's life altering, and it could take your life if you're one of the 85,000 that are homeless. So. The food bank visits, the food banks are imploding. They can't keep up. The housing market is, I heard the houses are stabilized a little bit. I hear the condo market is still imploding. The bottom's falling right out of the condo market. I was just talking to a friend in construction this morning. He went by his place of employment, to get some unemployment papers, and, it's not looking good for him either. He's laid off indefinitely. The construction industry has been decimated. You look at anyone, or you talk to anyone in the trades across Ontario, the trade unions have a high number of people unemployed right now. So we have huge problems in this country, and do we need more problems with deranged Karens spouting off on social media? Being an ICE agent down in Minneapolis right now is a nightmare. They seem to be doing very well. 2,500 agents now. They're just arresting everyone now. And that's the way it should be. Society is going crazy, okay? For whatever reason. There's a multitude of reasons. Some of it is legitimate, and some of it is just virtue signaling and trying to get clicks on social media. But I'm waiting for Donald Trump's World Economic Forum speech in Davos, and from there, we'll see what happens. You got any questions, comments, or concerns? You want anything further? Put it in the comment section. Thanks for watching, and enjoy your day. Bye.